Many animals have a relatively simple digestive system. So, for example, hydras, jellyfish, corals, the comb jellies, flatworms, they have a cavity inside the body, and this has enzymes that the animal secretes into it to help digest the stuff that it has taken in through the mouth. Okay, this is broken down into pieces small enough for cells around the cavity to take stuff in and finish up the digestion inside the cells. The undigested bits, well, that's got just one opening, so they go back out through the mouth. Doesn't sound like that would taste so great. Most animals, however, have both a mouth and an anus, kind of tube within a tube pattern. And this is known as a complete digestive system, going all the way through the body. And muscles are used, typically smooth muscles, involuntary, to move food through the system. A one-way process comes in the mouth, goes all the way through and out the anus. What's the advantage of having this set up here? Well, quite apart from the fact that pooping out your mouth doesn't sound real great, by having things this way, food is in a particular part of the tract at a particular stage in digestion. So because of this, each part of the system can be specialized for doing a particular task. You can't do that if stuff goes back and forth in and out in the same way. This allows a lot better specialization for digesting the food each step of the process. Vertebrates, as we've seen for other things, being relatively big, relatively complicated, we have quite a lot of pieces in our digestive tract, specializing for various functions. So, of course, we've got things starting out, going in the mouth, through the pharynx, esophagus, into the stomach, from the stomach to the small intestine to the large intestine, and finally out the anus at the other end. Associated with it, we have a variety of glands secreting various enzymes and other digestive juices, and the liver, the pancreas, and salivary glands are important players in this process. Other names here, we've got specific parts of the intestine, stuff like that. Again, the digestive tract, stuff from outside is coming into it. And so it needs to be well protected by the layers, but those also have to function in absorption. So we have specialized patterns here. We have an outer layer of connective tissue providing some support and protection there. Then we have additional layers. Muscle to move, contract, whether it's to squeeze things or widening the particular bit of the digestive system. So different motions are possible there. Of course, we've got a supply of blood, lymph, nerves to control things, feel if anything's wrong, bring in oxygen, carry off nutrients. The lymph, again, major concentration of the immune things. Often high surface area in the parts that are playing a role in absorption. Okay, start at the beginning, in the mouth. Mammals in particular have different types of teeth specialized for different functions. We have the incisors in front that are primarily for slicing, cutting into the food. We have canines, pointier ones there, used in piercing and tearing, especially into meat. Also, big canines can be used by display, even plant-eating species, as a warning and potentially a defense. And then we have the relatively flat premolars and molars onto the back, and those are used primarily in grinding up food. Most other vertebrates that do have teeth have more uniformity in their teeth, and they are continually growing new teeth, losing the old ones. This tends to go along with early development. Mammals, there's milk. You don't have to use your teeth for eating milk. So you can, as a baby, not have your teeth develop yet and wait until you're somewhat bigger to have a set of teeth that are then specialized for function there. If, on the other hand, you start out rather small and hatch out the egg and you have to get your own food right away, as would be true for reptiles, then their main option is run out and catch a bug. And bug catching teeth, it's going to be lots of small pointy teeth. That's probably the best thing for that. But that limits how much specialization you can do with your teeth if you have to do that. In addition to teeth, we have several sets of salivary glands secreting the saliva. There are enzymes in there to begin digestion. Also, the moisture helps to prepare the food for swallowing. Here, an example of 3 different skulls, and different types of teeth are highlighted. The incisors are in the red out in front. The canines are in blue. Premolars in the white. And molars back in the back for the green. And so, if we look at the different ones, different teeth, it's pretty evident that these eat different things. This one here, it's got incisors, good for slicing stuff, but it's only got 1 canine on each side of the lower jaw, none in the upper. That's not going to be real good for trying to stab into some sort of prey. And you've got this gap here, commonly found in more plant eaters. And then a great big massive set of molars for lots of chewing. So this is not needing to tear into meat, particularly with those teeth, but it's chewing on something pretty hard. So this looks like a herbivore. Up here, we have much more pointy. We have rather big canines, which is why it's called a canid, or actually it's the other way around. The canid name came first and canine's name for it. Even the molars and premolars are more pointy. This is not a good chewer, but this is good slicer for tearing up meat. So this would be a carnivore. This one down here, you probably recognize it. You might even recognize the others. So you're somewhat familiar with the diet. But we see all the different types of teeth represented reasonably well. And so able to eat some of a bit of everything. Molars, not nearly as huge as the horse there, but certainly enough to do some chewing with. Canines, those aren't going to be scaring something particularly, but they are present, able to tear into meat some as well. So able to eat a little bit of everything. The dog, well, yes, it can eat other things, but it's more specialized on the meat. From the mouth, muscles carry the food, push it on through the system down to the stomach. Of course, gravity helps as well if you're either standing or sitting while you're eating. But we have muscles that are enough to move things along. Birds largely have reduced it. After all, gravity moves things down, and anything you can get rid of is lighter weight for flying. So birds typically have to rely on gravity. For example, a bird drinking, it will bend its head down to get a slurp of water, and then turn its head up to swallow the water down because it doesn't have strong muscles for that. At least most of the pigeons can drink without doing that. There's a West African tradition that the bird, in looking up, is giving thanks for its water or food. I guess pigeons aren't so thankful. At any rate, the food is moved down and gets into the stomach. Again, our smooth muscles, both along the length and around the esophagus, pharynx, move the food down and get to the stomach. The stomach has extensive folds in it, so it can expand when it gets stuff coming to it, and then shrink down when it is not. And the stomach's very muscular. It can move around, and so there's a lot of physical grinding around and breaking up the food in the stomach. Some animals also have a gizzard. This is a muscular area. Often the animal will swallow bits of gravel, things like that. And again, it's an area for additional grinding of food. This is common in birds, also at least some dinosaurs. Certain other animals have a gizzard approach. The stomach lining, among other things, secretes lots of mucus as a protective lining to the stomach. Why would you need lots of protection on the inside of your stomach? Well, what's going on inside it? The stomach is also secreting lots of chemicals to digest your food, lots of acid, some additional enzymes. That would do just as well to digest you. After all, cannibalism, it's not ethical, but it works. It is possible to eat and digest somebody, not just other types of living things. You do not want your stomach digesting you, so you need very good protection lining of your stomach. Okay, so stomach, it's producing acid. That's actually the main chemical, not so much enzyme action going on, partly because of the acid. After all, food, again, it's coming from outside. Dump this outside stuff in a vat of acid. That's generally going to be pretty bad news for any bacteria, virus, stuff like that in the food. So, yes, there are some things that do make it through, but that's a pretty good protection. But at the same time, that would tend to break down your enzymes as well. But there are some, as we mentioned earlier in class, that are enzymes that are able to handle those extreme pHs, not denatured there, and so they start to function as well. So the stomach, again, muscle action helps smush things around, grind it up, and also the chemistry, acid and enzymes, breaks down the food, making it into a thick liquid known as chyme. We're starting to break up the proteins, the starches, some of those macromolecules, the polymers made up of lots of individual pieces. Once the food is made into chyme, then the stomach pushes it on in small spurts through into the small intestine. Small intestine then is where we complete the digestion, the breakdown of the food, and we have a lot of the absorption of nutrients through the wall. Different regions, we'll look at these a little bit. Duodenum, jejunum, ileum. The duodenum, the first part of the small intestine, is the main spot for the chemical breakdown of those molecules. The stomach, we have the acid and the muscle action that squishes it up, breaks it into small pieces. The actual chemical breakdown of proteins and fats and things like that into usable bits, that's more the small intestine.